On this episode of The Bronze Metalist, we talk about Adore by Numenorean, which is the softest way we could have started Black Metal January.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal. We like to talk about it. It is January. Finally. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying. I'm so glad everything has gotten better.
Yeah, 2020 is gone. 2021 is here, and everything is hunky dory.
Yeah, we don't know what has happened since the night that we are recording this. I put a little blurb at the previous episode that I edited the night we are recording and put out. It was like, oh, hey, if we seem like we don't have a care in the world, here's why. We are not a current events podcast. So,
and we're not doing this real time.
We're not doing it real time. But anyway, shit's on fire, yo.
Yeah.
But hey, we ain't here to talk about the shit that's on fire.
Right.
Except this album,
which is pretty on fire. It's weird. It goes from being on fire to being cold,
to being cold and sad,
which I really fucking dig.
Oh God, that's post black metal and black gaze in general. Although the sections of this that are softer and more melodic are colder than the standard for a lot of black gaze. A lot of black gaze tends to be rather bright and warm. That's like your Deaf Heavens and your Alcests and whatnot. Who are the two most popular bands in the micro genre that sort of pioneered it. And also Deaf Heaven in particular is the band that turned so much of the black metal community against any idea of injecting something new into the cold, dead heart that is black metal.
Right. They get a lot of flat.
So the problem with Deaf Heaven, you were trying to say flack?
Flack, maybe I was. Yeah.
The problem with Deaf Heaven is not anything to do with the band themselves. Although, I mean, you could claim that they're, pretentious or whatever. I don't give a shit. I like a lot of pretentious music.
Yeah.
But the problem, I think, in what happened and what turned so many people in the community against them is that no one in Deaf Heaven were calling themselves a black metal band. But then in 2012, when Sunbather came out, you had a whole bunch. You had like Pitchfork and Sputnik and music publications that don't normally talk about black metal. Listening to Deaf Heaven and going, wow, I really like this. This is kind of like that black metal thing, isn't it? Because you have the lead singer who's mostly doing black metal type screams. That's his types of vocal that he does. And occasionally some of the guitars sound more like, but Deaf Heaven is basically like a very heavy shoegaze band with black metal vocals. The black metal influence in Deaf Heaven, I think, depending upon the song is fairly negligible, but there's enough there for it to be called black gaze. And some publications just took to calling them a black metal band, and that really pissed people off. And on top of that, they were super popular, which is
the antithesis of black metal,
of true cult black metal sort of thing. If it's popular, it's bullshit. It's like, and that's something that I kind of hate. And part of the reason why I have trouble, like I picture sometimes when I listen to bands, I picture the type of people who like it and go like, I don't think I could be friends with those people. And it damages part of the image of that music in my eye. But they're probably thinking the exact same thing. They're someone's picturing who listens to Deaf Heaven. Oh, it's some fucking hipster. I couldn't be friend with that guy. That's probably, it goes both ways. I think I try not to think about it, but what I do is overthink things. So here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Born to be kings. We're the princes of the universe.
Yep.
Sorry, I actually rewatched Highlander not too long ago.
Yeah.
So
I didn't recognize that. Is that the thing from Highlander?
The Queen theme from Highlander.
What is it with Queen and doing soundtracks for kind of not super, or doing songs for not super good sci-fi movies that like cult classic sci-fi movies? Well, I guess the first Highlander you wouldn't describe as science fiction. They tried to do that in the second one, didn't they? Where they're like, they're aliens.
They're aliens. And then the third one, remember that last movie? Fucking forget that.
Forget about that.
No.
But why can't I think of
Flash Gordon?
Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
So, like,
Sure.
why was Queen doing that shit?
I don't know. I mean, why was a famous Shakespearean actor...
Patrick Stewart?
Was he in Flash Gordon?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Star Trek.
No.
Like, why did famous Shakespearean actor agree to be on a Star Trek
Fucking
show?
money.
Money.
Yeah.
But
no, I was thinking of Brian Blessed. That's what I was thinking of.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I think you were trying to say Brian Blessed. The man can open his mouth to an uncomfortable degree.
He could swallow a Plymouth.
I'm pretty sure he could eat a grapefruit whole.
I don't know why he'd want to do either of those things.
I don't know either, but he's climbed Mount Everest.
Sure, yeah, right. Yeah,
as he is fond of reminding people on every show he gets. And it's always great to listen. He tells the same story but it's great to listen to him. Brian Blessed's amazing.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen Brian Blessed do is kind of the opposite of what he's known for, because he's known for being loud and boisterous, and he's got a very brassy personality. But one of the things that I've seen is one of his performance in the Kenneth Branagh film version of Henry V, where he plays one of Henry V's chief lieutenants who goes to deliver an ultimatum to the French. And it's this very sinister and like subdued and intense performance of him while he's wearing full plate armor. And it's Brian Blessed, so he looks like a fucking tank. But he walks in and delivers just this very subdued performance, just like, you will do this and blah, 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 blah. And it was like, wow, Brian Blessed can do the other thing too.
Right.
It's just what everyone knows him for is ha 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 ha. If you don't know who we're talking, he does the voice for Boss Nass in Star Wars.
Yes, he does. And they made Boss Nass very Brian Blessed.
Boss Nass is basically Brian Blessed, but a frog person.
Right.
That's basically the only difference. And with a weird kind of pseudo, slightly racist Jamaican type of accent or whatever.
Oh man, the fucking Gungans.
I don't know what the fuck it was. George Lucas was always smoking some weird shit when he came up with ideas for Star Wars, but like, I don't know why everything in the Phantom Menace is so slightly racist. Everything in the Phantom Menace is just like, this is a little racist, George. Why is everything a little racist? It's weird. The Gungans, the Numenoreans are like Japanese caricatures. It's just a little odd.
Yeah, the Gungans talk how slaves are portrayed.
In like old Disney movies. Yeah. in Song of the South.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Jeff found a copy of that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's worth a lot to somebody. Probably not anybody cool.
No, nobody I want to have dealings with. No, I actually saw that twice in the theater.
Oh my God.
Because as a child, it was fun.
Yeah.
I love Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear and Brer Fox. Those are great stories.
Before you were like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And that reminds me, I went down a weird music rabbit hole over the last few days. I was listening to, somebody was playing the song, and as you will hear every now and then, the great song by the Turtles, Happy Together. You know the song?
So happy together.
I can't see me loving. Yeah.
That's all we're legally allowed to sing.
You know what? Actually, the story behind the turtles is hilarious. They were being sued by 5 different people in 2 countries at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they were young and stupid and signed the wrong paperwork and got the wrong managers but the 2 main songwriters there, after the band split up, because whoa, we're so broke we can't eat anymore, and so the 2 main guys who couldn't use their real names, because that's how fucked up the contracts they signed were.
Oh my God.
They couldn't use their real names in the music industry anymore, so they had to go by Eddie and the Fluorescent Leech, or Flo and Eddie, as they were often called.
Okay.
And so they joined the Mothers of Invention, if you know who that is.
I know I've heard the name.
Frank Zappa's band.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So they were in the Mothers, and then Frank Zappa was in a bad car wreck, and they're like, oh, once again, we're out of fucking work. And so they went and they performed on their own. And I was listening to some of Flo and Eddie's, I guess, duo stuff from the 70s. And wow, they were kind of fucking racist too.
It's the 70s, man.
Yeah, I guess.
We're all on coke.
Blame it on the cocaine.
People do some racist shit when they're on cocaine.
I guess.
Well, it's because it's a rich white person's drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. No dancing on nobody's couch with muddy shoes.
Oh my God. I keep forgetting that Charlie Murphy died.
Yeah, that's sad. It's terribly sad. He was hilarious.
Yeah, I had forgotten that Charlie Murphy had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of people passing away, it'd be remiss for us to not mention
Alexi Laiho.
My God, we still don't really know what happened.
Well, yeah, according to the what we found on the internet,
his family.
Yeah, they said he had some health problems that were ongoing.
Yeah, long-term health issues, which could be a number of things. I mean, to me, I'm kind of thinking maybe this is sort of a Chadwick Boseman type situation where maybe it was cancer or something like that. They kept under wraps because they didn't want people talking and doing that sort of thing, and thought, hey, maybe, he'll beat this and, we can figure out what to do later. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. If you don't know who Alexi Laiho was, he was the lead guitarist and vocalist for Children of Bodom, which is a legendary...
Which I don't know why we haven't done one of their albums on. I went back and I started blasting that shit in my basement. I'm like, God, I fucking forgot about this. Why don't I listen to this all the time?
I need to listen to more Children of Bodom now. I'm slightly ashamed that I haven't up until this point, but they're a legendary melodic death metal band from Finland. And we're kind of, I think, one of the first really big Finnish death metal bands that sort of established that, hey, Finland is a place where metal happens.
Yeah.
And he has at several points in his career been bestowed with titles being one of the best guitarists of all time, or at the very least one of the fastest guitarists of all time. He was pretty consistently ranked among the greatest metal frontmen and things like that. Just a pillar of the extreme metal community. And
he was married 3 years ago.
Yeah. And he was 41 years old.
I know. It's always so weird to me when I say, well, these guys have been around a long time. Oh man, he died. Oh fuck, it was younger than me. What the hell?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
But yeah, it's a bummer. When I read that, I was just like, what? Yeah,
it's crazy.
One of the inspirations for Squiskar Squigelf in Metalocalypse alongside Yngwie Malmsteen. It's sort of a combination of Alexi Laiho and Yngwie Malmsteen is what Squiskar is. You got the arrogance from Yngwie Malmsteen, and then the looks and the skill of Alexi Laiho. Tall, Nordic, and long blonde hair. That's a Squiskar Squigelf for you.
But it was Alexi,
and that was Alexi.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit of a bummer there.
Yeah.
Did you get your stimulus check?
I don't know. Maybe
you just haven't looked.
I haven't. Stuff like that. We have our local credit union. Our local credit union is just our sort of. It's our backdoor money pool.
Okay.
Because a lot of our payments just automatically come out of that.
Yeah.
has a lot to do with the flood.
Yeah. I got mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's part of it is at least going towards kayak
hookers
shit. Yeah,
kayak.
No hookers. No kayak stuff. I want to. There's a really really Gucci paddle that I want. So I'm gonna get that. It's the Bending Branches Navigator, which has got a carbon fiber handle or pole or shaft or whatever you want to call it, and then laminated.
Is it like a really hard shaft?
Yeah, it's a really hard, long shaft.
Okay.
Nice and smooth, and you can run your hands up and down it really easily.
Wow, that sounds you're talking about a dick.
And there's wood on the ends too. Okay, it was just I was really hoping that was not someone's car alarm because while I was working today, the car directly below my window, its alarm started going off and kept going off for about 5 minutes.
Sure.
Which sucked.
Well, I had that issue this morning trying to work, from my basement, and I couldn't get Zeta to go to work properly. That's our
remote voice tracking software.
Right. And it's really a website.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it to work properly. And the cat upstairs found a fucking marble somewhere.
And was...
And I just had visions of me just going up there, grabbing the cat and tearing it in half. Don't do that. Don't do that, OJ.
Don't let the anger take hold.
Yeah. I know how you'd feel directly out of that. Like coming out of that.
They're just such a throwable size.
They are.
Oh God. We love our cats, people.
Yeah, we
wouldn't do that.
No.
But anyway, what was I talking about before this? It's the paddles themselves. On this paddle, the actual ends of them are laminated composite wood.
Oh, nice!
So it's lighter. It's despite the fact that it's wood on either end, the whole thing is a fair bit lighter than the paddle that I have now.
Nice, and it's the same size or bigger? Or?
It'll be the same size. I think the paddles on the Navigator are flat-sided instead of a scoop on them, which there are, I think, some benefits and drawbacks to both. But part of having a slightly more flat-sided paddle that is nice is it tends to carry less water with it on the upstroke.
Oh, sure.
And also, since it's wood, it's very buoyant, so the paddle just kind of pops up out of the water.
Nice.
At least according to people who use them and are knowledgeable about that sort of thing. It's also one of the most upmarket paddles you can buy, and I would feel good having something really nice. It feels good sometimes to have nice things. And one of the guys that I watch is a channel called Headwaters Kayak, and he basically said, like, if you're going to spend $1,000 on buying kayak stuff, spend $750 on a kayak and spend $250 on a paddle. It's like, you might think the paddle's inconsequential. That's actually the thing you are holding and using the whole time.
That is the tool you have.
You use, otherwise, a kayak is just a floaty thing. It's just going to sit there on the water and not move.
But you can put your hands in the water.
I suppose, yeah.
Scoot forward.
The water equivalent of like sitting on a sled on the top a hill that's not quite steep enough and going
getting yourself over the edge. Unfortunately, you're on a lake or a river, so there's no edge. Well, there's an edge on either side, but
the edges go upwards. But I'd get something like that, and a life jacket or a life preserver. A personal flotation device, as they're sometimes called. The one that I've seen is relatively low profile. It doesn't get like, part of my problem with the life jacket that I wear now is the flotation on the back side of it is so thick that trying to like lean back a little bit into my seat on my kayak is uncomfortable because there's my back, and then a little ways up my back is like a shelf.
Sure.
Created by the edge of this very thick life jacket. So something that's a little bit thinner on the back, and then it has a convenient pocket on the front.
Nice.
For me to shove my phone into. Can listen to music while I'm cruising around on the water, but I won't be able to do any of that shit until May. So
maybe April. April's kind of cold yet, but
it's not so much the temperature, like the air temperature is fine. It's usually like mid-May before the ice is actually gone from the lake.
Sure.
Like Lake Sakakawea usually has ice. And the year that I supposedly graduated from college, the year I stopped going to college.
Are you going to do that? Are you going to graduate?
I think I made a note to myself the other day. I was like, you know what? Maybe that's what I do in 2021 is I'll take care of that in the fall semester.
Sure.
Get signed up for what little credits I need.
Like you won.
Yeah. 1
credit. Can you take a night class, underwater basket weaving or something?
I could probably honestly just do like one of the broadcast electives that requires me to do like 2 or 3 hours of work a week. Nice. And it doesn't have any homework or anything like that. It's just coming in and looking at the screen, like TV activities basically, and just like playing programmed material. It's the easiest thing. At least back when I had to do it the first time, it was the easiest fucking thing in the world. I just haven't done it because I've been busy trying to be an adult. An
actual paid full-time broadcaster.
Yeah. But I do that. But anyway, 2018, like the week before we had our graduation party get together open house, I went to my parents' house and there was still ice on the lake, and that was like May 10th.
Really?
There was plenty of ice on Lake Sakakawea, but I whenever I feel comfortable heading out there, I'm gonna do it.
You ever think about taking a trip like to a different lake?
I mean, yeah, I have. I need a better way of securing the kayak onto the roof of my car. It is a little uncomfortable to taking it down to Garrison or to Cole Harbor from Minot was incredibly stressful the first time.
And that's just from here to Cole Harbor.
But like getting up to 70 on the highway was a little nerve-wracking.
You feel like you're going to take off?
I was just worried that it was just not. It didn't matter how tightly it was tied down. I just didn't have a good enough way of securing it. So that might be another thing that I spend money on is a
roof rack.
Well, because I have the racks. Rack is not the problem. The problem is securing the kayak to the rack.
Do you have ratchet ropes?
I don't. The one that I have is just it's a tension sort of like it's not a ratchet, but it's got spring tension.
Sure.
That holds it in place.
You need to get ratchet ropes.
I do. Although some people say that it's actually the more secure way is using just like if you have
rubber bands.
Yeah, rubber bands. If you have a kayak rest, basically like it's a scoop that goes on your rack and the kayak sits in it on its side. You know what I'm talking about? The best way to secure that is actually with actual rope. There's a certain knot that you can tie that is apparently the most secure way. But one of the things I never did very well when I was in Cub Scouts was knots.
Really?
I know how to tie like 2 knots and that's pretty much it.
Do you know the 2 half hitch?
No.
The sheep shank?
No.
The slip knot?
No.
You don't know the slip knot?
Well, I know the one
that Loudwire talks about all the time.
About people equaling shit. I know that one. But as far as like a one made of rope, no. Not. I mean, I'm sure really? I'm sure I. That one's fairly easy, I think.
The square knot you got, I'm sure.
Probably.
I know you know the square knot. It's what you accidentally do to fuck up your shoes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know here's the thing. Yeah. I know how to tie the knots that I would need to know to operate as a human being who wears shoes.
Sure.
That's what I know. But I don't know the names of them. I just know how to do them.
Sure.
So that's where I'm at with that. If I want to get serious about it, I could, I learn how to do this one extra knot to tie this valuable thing to the top of my car and take it to other places.
Do you know the bread knot?
No.
You don't know the Dreadnought?
What about the Dreadnought?
The Dreadnought.
It's a very large. It's a knot used in very large ships.
Mm-hmm. Or it's a thing you put in your hair.
I think that's a dreadlock.
And a bread knot is a thing that's garlicky and salty and buttery.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right.
Or hot out of the oven.
I remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, how was your New Year's?
It was good. Is this the first podcast of the new year?
Yeah.
Is it? Jesus.
The first one we've recorded in the new year.
Not my New Year's. You know what? I don't know what anything is anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Did New Year's happen? Have I?
Theoretically, it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I never do anything for New Year's, so it wasn't really that different for me. I got on a Discord call with a bunch of my friends who live all over the country, and we just had conversations while I played Cyberpunk, and just went around. My character made a lot of money that night because I was just driving. I didn't want to do any story missions while I was talking to my friends, so I just drove around and did all the like miscellaneous jobs that don't require any sort of story attention, and was rewarded with a fuckload of money.
So, the problem in my house is that our teenager has taken the laptop. They said, I need to borrow the laptop for school. He took the laptop. I said, I want it back tomorrow. They're like, okay. I haven't seen it for weeks.
Well, it's somewhere in your house.
I know where it is. Yeah. And, I needed to pay bills because I don't remember any of my fucking passwords to get on to MDU or whatever. And, and so instead, the 9-year-old's been in the living room. What he used to do, he'd sit at the laptop. If mom and I wanted to watch some TV, or if I wanted to play a video game, if I wanted to do anything, he'd like, that's fine. And he'd watch YouTube on the laptop or something else. Apparently, he only has the 2 activities in his life because now I haven't really been able to watch any TV or do anything in the main part of the day forever.
Yeah.
And I should be able to. It's my goddamn house.
Yeah.
I should be able to say, hey, kid, go play with your Legos or something.
Go look at the dirt.
Go.
That's what we did. We just looked at the dirt and we were happy.
Find a stick and a rock. But I don't because I keep having this thing in my head saying, you don't need to watch TV.
Yeah.
Find something productive to do.
Do something else.
Do some reading.
I haven't
got to do anything.
I don't know the last time that I read a whole book.
Really?
I don't know when that was.
I'm rereading all the Ted Williams books that I had.
You've mentioned that. Yeah. The last complete story that I read that I can remember was At the Mountains of Madness, and that's not very long.
Right.
It's a novella.
Right.
And it was bound with several other H.P. Lovecraft stories that I did not read.
I got all his stories free with my Kindle.
Yeah. I just wanted to read At the Mountains of Madness. I finished it and was like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm not going to read the rest of them. I have Call of Cthulhu. I haven't read that.
You Heart of Darkness. You can read that. That's 100 pages long.
Yeah. And then there's Dune and the Silmarillion just sitting there.
Not 100 pages long.
They're just sitting there judging me, though, going, you haven't read us. You're uncultured. You claim to be a nerd. Come on. Lame-o. What are you waiting for? But anyway, we're a ways into this.
I feel like that's what the head of the Three Stooges was called in France. Lemo.
God. Oh, God. Did you notice, by the way, I got new glasses?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I got new glasses.
I know your face looked different, but you've grown some more hair, and your top of the head hair is a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And
no, I got a new pair of glasses. This was because I paid for them weeks ago at this point, but they just arrived yesterday.
How do you like? Is the new prescription? Is it?
It's supposedly the same prescription, but my right, I think the lens over my right eye is maybe not quite powerful enough. Certain things, like if I close my left eye and look at things in the distance through the lens, things are a little bit fuzzier. It's not awful, but it's just not quite right. And I've just, the difference in the style of lens has made me feel a little bit weird. It's also interesting to me because I felt like with my old pair of glasses, which I still have, because they're the same prescription. These also have blue light filters on them.
Nice.
Which is good for me because I stare at computer screens. That's the whole reason I got new glasses in the first place. It's like, your prescription hasn't changed. You don't need new glasses. But I was like, but I'm looking at computers a lot more. That's very bad for your eyes. I need some protection because I can't not look at computers. Right. I have no choice unless I want to quit my job. Which I don't. So I got these, but it's been weird trying to adjust to that. I've felt like trying to do work feels a little weird because I'm looking at everything a little bit different, and so I feel mildly disoriented. I'm sure I'll get used to them though.
Well, I got 2 new pairs of readers for Christmas.
2 new pairs of reading glasses.
Yeah. So I have them stashed all over the. I have reading glasses for downstairs, reading glasses for the kitchen.
You got reading glasses squirreled away everywhere.
Bedroom reading glasses and living room reading glasses. Yeah.
They are all over the place.
Yes. Yeah, so a lot of times I'll be in the kitchen and I'll go to grab my kitchen reading glasses because that's where I'm going to do dishes or whatever. I got to look at my phone to see what music I'm going to listen to. And I'll look down and I'll have 2 pairs of reading glasses
hanging from
my shirt.
The middle of your shirt, the collar of your shirt.
Oh, crap, I got to find where these came from.
Put these back. These go here. These ones go here. Okay, so I mentioned the Silmarillion earlier. A term from the Silmarillion is Numenorian.
Yes, it is.
Which describes...
a soldier? Is it?
No, the Numenorians were a race of men who inhabited an island called Numenor. Right. They were given this island as a reward for helping the Valar defeat Morgoth and the forces of evil at the end of the First Age. These men were steadfast allies of the elves. And so the Valar, who are structurally more like archangels, but in terms of actual powers and their role throughout the history of Middle-earth, are more like gods. Even though in the Legendarium, Eru is like the one creator god, and the Valar are just more like very powerful angels or spirits. In any case, the Valar gifted these men they blessed them with long lives and gave them this island paradise as a reward.
Nice.
Which is why if you read The Lord of the Rings, you're like, or if you read The Lord of the Rings, or if you watch the extended edition, there's a scene where Aragorn has a conversation with Éowyn. And she's like, my uncle said something weird that he rode with you during this battle, but he was 15 at the time. And that would make you like, and Aragorn's like, I'm 83 years old because he is of Numenorean blood and Numenoreans could tend to live like 300 years. Nice. They could live to be very old. Aragorn, I think, lived to be like 150. Wow. Because his bloodline was a little diluted at that point. But
he was a mudblood.
Yeah. The other thing is that Numenoreans tended to be quite tall. Elendil, actually, who was the owner of the sword that got broken by Sauron, was listed in some source as being like 8 feet tall. In any case, there were the people who lived on this island. Sauron tricks them after a while that they're living on this island in the Second Age. He tricks them into thinking that the Valar are evil, that Morgoth was actually right, and they should invade Valinor and claim eternal life, as if just going to Valinor would make them immortal. Right. That is not the case. The Valar were also not happy at the attempt, and so destroyed this whole fleet and sunk the island into the ocean. And the people who had found Arnor and Gondor were the people who thought Sauron was bullshit. Sure. And, were the smart ones and went back to Middle-earth. But so that's the context of the name of this band. Right. They're nerds. Numenorian is a post-black metal or black gaze band rather from Calgary in Alberta, Canada. This is their second full-length album. It's also the one that has kind of, I think, made their name as like kind of having breathed some fresh air, some new life into black gaze, which for the most part has sort of just become a bunch of bands just sort of regurgitating the same shit. Like, oh, these people, this is just Deaf Heaven again. This is just Alcest again. Whereas Numenorian, I feel like genuinely does something new with this album. I discovered this entirely by accident. I was listening to an album radio on Spotify for Panopticon, I think, or it might have been for Falls of Rauros, which is also a Tolkien thing.
Yes.
All the best black metal bands have Tolkien names, except for Burzum. Who, okay, the music is fine. The man is awful.
Yeah.
But in any case, so I was browsing Spotify and just letting this album radio or song radio take me where it would. And the title track of this album came up and I started listening to it and it was like, okay, whatever. You know, this is fine. And then it got to that middle passage where shit gets really inspiring, anthemic. In the middle, it's the
it's like every other track.
But this was like the climactic track. That's the section in the song. What the hell is the lyric? Oh no, I've kind of forgotten it. I've been drinking some you brought Manhattan Social Club. Manhattan inspired ale. It's from Boulevard Brewing Company.
Right.
And Boulevard seems to exclusively make beer that is like ludicrously strong.
Well, Fat Tire is fine.
But is Fat Tire Boulevard?
Yeah.
Fat Tire's the same people that make like Voodoo Ranger and shit.
What?
It's Fat Tire's New Belgium.
Oh, that's New Belgium.
Yeah.
Right. That's New Belgium. Well, yeah. And nothing was what? Is that it? No.
The song is it's why do the lyric I'm trying to think of is why do I feel this way?
It's not the song Regret.
No, it's Adore, the title track.
Right.
Why do I feel this? I'm the only one in the way. That part of the song hit and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, like I got chills listening to it. This band I had never heard of before, never listened to before, just sitting there going like, wow, okay, gonna listen to the rest of this, and just I immediately fell in love with this album. So this, like a lot of Black Gaze albums, is someone who is a staunch black metal fan would probably not consider this fodder for this month.
Sure,
they would say it's Black Metal January. Why are you talking about this shit?
Right,
fuck off. We're gonna listen to whatever we want, but I think this album is closer to the spirit of, in parts anyway, closer to the spirit of slightly more traditional black metal than something like Deaf Heaven.
Right.
But it still injects a lot of new stuff.
There's acoustic guitars in there. There's really, really dark sections that are just
there's a couple like sort of like quantized kind of keyboardy sounding stuff in there every once in a while, or like it was probably guitar, but a phaser on it was like wow 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 wow. There's a part in one of the songs, I don't remember which one.
It almost gets funky.
Yeah, it gets a little funky for a second. But this is a fairly dark album. As I understand, the subject material for this is alcoholism. This was intended to be a very personal sort of album. The band members there's two brothers. There's Byron and Brandon Lemley. Byron is one of the guitarists and provides backing vocals. Brandon is the lead vocalist, and that's his only job is vocals. Then we got Roger LeBlanc on guitar and backing vocals. Alex Cott, or perhaps Co, on bass.
How's it spelled?
Kot. Which is why maybe it's Co and it's French or something. I don't know. And then on drums we have David Horrocks. And yeah, this is their second full length. Like I mentioned, I don't know how long they've been around exactly, but this is I feel like if this had been a debut album, everyone would have been like, what the fuck? Where did these guys come from? But I mean, they've been doing stuff for a little while, but it just feels like they put so much care and work into this. It slaps.
It definitely slaps.
It slaps. I will say
but
that.
It doesn't slap all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't slap all the time.
But you know what that does for me? That makes it when we have these dark. What's the word?
Ambient,
atmospheric.
Yes.
You have those moments, and that makes you, when it does come up and slap you, it slaps the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a good comparison is like the first full track and the one after that. Where in the first full track, which I'm just going to pull up Spotify so I remember the names of these songs.
Yeah.
So in Portrait of Pieces, for example, that one's quite a long song and has lots of different stuff going on it, but none of it is particularly black metal.
Right.
And then
it's kind of a death metal feel to it.
Yeah. And then it ends with this just weird, like, the guitars just kind of start squealing out of the end of the song, and then it builds back up into this like sort of glitchy sounding, like like this slowly building sound that eventually sounds like the sound card on your computer has just shit out, and so it's repeating a tiny section of a waveform, and it's just buzzing, and then it blasts into this massive black metal riff at the beginning of Horizon, which is one of the more, at least the beginning of Horizon is one of the most black metal moments on the album. But it's sprinkled throughout. They were playing with the genres on this one. It's hard, it makes it hard to call this anything in particular, but I think the black metal influence is enough to put it in this month. And really, I just wanted to talk about this and make you listen to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. This is really this is my jam.
I adore this.
Because it's called Adore.
The album's called it. I also love the album art. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Well, it kind of gives me a little bit of a panic attack.
A little bit. It reminds me. What it really reminds me of is Jane Doe by Converge.
Yeah,
it's just it's a woman's face with a sort of blank background, or at least the logo. At least the Jane Doe face as a logo is always just the woman's face with a black background. The actual album cover has got more going on. But speaking of Converge. They're on the Cyberpunk soundtrack. I think I've mentioned that to you before.
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of metal bands on the Cyberpunk soundtrack. There's a death metal band called Tomb Mold that's on there.
Okay.
There's some Swedish hardcore punk band that actually serves as the musical component of the fictional band Samurai, which is in the Cyberpunk universe, which has been around for a long time. It's a long established tabletop role-playing game. Samurai has always been a big part of the universe as this band, and that includes Johnny Silverhand, who's a character in the game.
Sure.
But they
played by Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah. played by Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Who was the character Johnny Mnemonic?
Okay. I missed the reference.
Yeah.
It's
a movie in the 90s.
Yeah. In any case, they provide the musical element and actually wrote several like song titles that I think had existed for a while. Like you read the Cyberpunk, rule book and you're like, oh, these are Samurai's 3 most popular songs. It's Chippin' In and Never Fade Away. And then CD Projekt Red found some band and were like, hey, can you write songs with these titles that sort of fit into like kind of a cyberized sort of glam rock type thing?
Hey,
and that's
Mick.
what they did. Hey, Mick, as in Mick Gordon.
Yeah, could you do this?
Not quite heavy enough for Mick Gordon, I'm afraid.
Shoot.
And he was busy during the time when Cyberpunk was being made.
Over the last 7 years?
Yeah, however long. I couldn't really find an aggregated score for this anywhere. Most of the people that reviewed it did not give it a score or a number. Most of the reviews that I read were fairly positive. The only one that I found that was negative was some guy from Sputnik who gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
Really?
Which is an average for them. But he was really kind of weirdly down on it. everybody else. And he admitted in the review, he's like, I'm, being a bit long-winded for an album that most people seem to like and has generally been given, critical acclaim.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to bore you with any more of my nitpicks. He was just not very fond of it. A lot of other people seem to be very fun. Multiple things that I read were like, I like traditional black metal, but this is pretty good. Which I haven't seen for a lot of albums of this genre.
Sure.
So
posers,
fucking posers. What's your favorite track on this?
I think the one that sticks out in my head is the one I mentioned earlier, Regret. I think. Also the title track, like you said, fucking amazing.
Oh God, I have to say the title track.
Yeah.
That has to be my favorite, especially because that was my introduction to the band and this album, is just stumbling across the title track and going, what? This is amazing. It rekindled my interest in black gaze, I think, which is a genre. Oh, we miss you, Alex.
Yeah. Last show's playing this week.
Oh boy.
The Last Jeopardy with Alex Trebek.
Oh, that's going to be kind of rough.
Yeah.
To watch, I'm sure he actually did fine. A lot of the episodes that were he was sick, you wouldn't tell.
Alex Trebek was a juggernaut.
It is insane. But in any case, it sort of this album rekindled my interest in post black metal, I think, or at least this area, the black gaze area, which I had sort of not fallen out of love with, but sort of in this area of music, I found Panopticon and Falls of Rauros and stuff like that, which is a bit less dreamy, a bit less.
Yeah, this is very dreamy.
Yeah, that's the difference between what you might call post black metal and black gaze. Post black metal is okay, you've got the basic formula of black metal, and then we're going to add stuff to it. But it's, kind of more grounded feeling where they're, adding the acoustic guitars or banjos and fiddles in the case of Panopticon and stuff like that. Whereas, black gaze is exactly what it sounds like. It's shoegaze injected into. So there's a lot of dreamy riffs and lots of very heavily affected guitars.
I would love to hear My Bloody Valentine do a black metal album.
Probably be great. How much would that cost? It'd be the most expensive black metal album ever made.
Yeah, which is a complete opposite of the $3 spent on most black metal albums.
Exactly. This is a $250,000 black metal album, and all the band members spent the money on. I don't even remember what the story was with
Loveless.
With Loveless, what they all spent their insane. What's the term? I wanted to say forward. That's
advance.
Yeah, their insane advance for record production on, and it took 2 years or whatever.
Right.
Oh boy,
good album.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some more shoegaze at some point.
Yeah, sure. I'm down with that.
But we should get to the end of this. What are you bestowing upon this album, like Maskanada to Chewbacca?
Well, as any time that I listen to an album that I haven't heard before, often that you say, "Oh, Jay, here's this band." I'm like, Numenor, and then I listen to Numenor.
Yeah, you listen to Numenor,
which was terrible.
Which was not my intention.
No, it was not.
I have not listened to that band.
You should listen to it some. I listened to a bunch of it. And I went, "Why is Kale making me listen to this shit?"
I came across when you mentioned that, I typed it in, and they're extremely Tolkien.
Yeah.
Are they a black metal band? Or more of a power metal band?
More power. They got some death metal vocals. It almost sounds like Jeff Walker from Carcass doing their vocals, but it's not. It's not.
But it's an extremely sort of. They struck me as a very gimmicky type of fantasy sort of band.
Yeah, and they're trying real hard to be what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it shows they're trying real hard.
That rarely works out.
But no,
I hope they're having fun.
Yeah, me too. I hope they do very well. But this album, however, I was so glad when you said, "No, you idiot, it's Numenorian." And then I listened to this.
Not the island, the people.
And I realized that I want to listen to it again. So I have to give it a gold.
That tends to be my criteria for stuff as well, is I listen to this do I want to listen to this again? Have I listened to this multiple times? If the answer is yes, then it's a gold. And if I had only heard the title track, I think it would still be
a gold. Sure. But even the rest of it.
Yeah, I fell in love with this album. I need to listen to. I've been like mainlining this out. Their first album is also very good. It's a little bit rougher around the edges because it's their first album. But I need to listen to that more.
You know, I don't have a Bluetooth in my car or really a proper stereo. I had factory stereo from 2006 in there. And so I'm listening to this in the Wendy's drive-thru because I promised the kids like days ago, everybody was saying, I want Wendy's. And so fine, I'm going through Wendy's and I'm listening to this and I'm playing it very loudly through my phone.
Oh, wow.
In the Wendy's drive-thru. And I look over, the line had gotten long and it horseshoed around the other way. And I look and every car in that line was staring at me.
Oh,
so I was just doing this. Yeah.
Just looking at your phone, just sitting there and didn't realize that the line had moved. Oh, boy. Do you not have like an aux port in your stereo anywhere?
I do not.
Oh, dang. You could always do the old fashioned cigarette lighter shit.
Yeah.
Which I hated. My first car that I had, it was a Sunfire. It didn't have an aux port on the stereo. Or maybe it did. I don't remember. It didn't get used if it did, but I had the old radio thing where it basically hijacks an unused radio frequency in your car. But the problem then is if you're driving past literally anybody who's on remotely the same frequency, say goodbye to your music for, however many hundreds of feet that car needs to be away from you.
You know what's sad is that I almost never listen to music in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just this one time, I'm like, I want to hear this.
I don't drive very much anymore, so I don't either. But when I'm in my car, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
But
I listen to silent.
We were somewhere around the area of ending the episode. We already gave it a medal. So next week, continuing to delve into black metal January. What are you thinking?
Here's what I'm thinking. I did a lot of thinking about this. We're going to go way
Arby's.
back. I'm thinking Arby's. I think we're going to go way back.
Way back.
Way back to...
First wave.
To a Source album as far as black metal goes.
Okay.
Called Black Metal.
By?
Venom.
Okay, I should have guessed it was Venom. All right, yeah. I'm down with the spirit here of going back to some first wave stuff because I think that's I wonder how many like cult black metal people only listen to like first wave, or only listen to second wave. I mean, like
right.
Our image of what is true in cult black metal is
from someone's early 90s.
Yeah, someone's basement. It's the early 90s in Norway.
Yeah.
Whereas what the term black metal originates in the late 70s.
1978 with Venom.
What are basically just
Merciful Fate.
Slightly darker and more satanic heavy metal bands. Right. It was just heavy metal at the time.
Well, the people who listened or who created the second wave of black metal didn't do so accidentally. I mean, this first wave of black metal was would have been in their menu.
Yeah, they liked it. But the black metal nerd today, I wonder how many of them actually like Venom and Merciful Fate and stuff like that, or they listen to it and go, that's not black metal, that's not Mayhem,
right?
Despite the fact that everyone in Mayhem were massive fans of those bands,
right?
So next week, Venom, black metal, the origin of the term. I'm into it. So until we get to that, you can find us on Twitter, on Facebook. We won't be doing anything there, but if you're interested in just getting a notification when we put out a new episode, you can give us a like or a follow on either of those services. You can also subscribe to our feed on Libsyn or on your Apple device, and the same thing will happen. You'll hopefully get a notification when a new episode comes out. If you want to listen to it right when it comes out, that's for you. So, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Cale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.